If you're in the market for a new subcompact SUV and you're looking for something that handles well, rides well, overall drives well, and while having only 240 horsepower under the hood still has very nice pickup and gets great gas mileage, the 2020 Volvo XC40 may be the ideal choice for you. Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today my friends at Holmes Volvo in Shreveport, Louisiana have loaned me this 2020 Volvo XC40 for the day. And we're going to talk about what's new. We're going to talk about what's under the hood and what kind of horsepower it has. There are multiple trim levels. I'll list those later in the video so you know what they are. We're going to talk about what it's like to drive this Volvo XC40 and help you make a decision on whether or not this should be your next vehicle. And no matter which trim level of the XC40 you choose to purchase, you will discover that the interior is filled with premium materials, very nicely laid out. Everything is very easy to get to. And you will also discover there are plenty of standard and available safety features, as well as some very interesting small item storage areas, in addition to a reasonable amount of cargo space for a crossover SUV. Now, one thing I have to mention before we move on here is something that I would love to see on more vehicles. Yes, this one does have the struts that I love to see under the hood of any vehicle that make it easy to open the hood. Also, the fact that finding the hood latch is super easy. It's here on the left-hand side, but the cool thing is that it's yellow. It's not black like everything else underneath here, so it's not going to be difficult to see that and know where it is. But the most impressive thing to me about this XC40, at least here under the hood, or based on the hood itself, is the fact that it opens so high up. That makes accessing everything underneath here so much easier. Whether you're looking at something yourself or just taking it in for work, the technicians are going to have an easier time working on it. I'd like to see more vehicles that have a hood that raises up this high, especially a subcompact SUV like this, where everything isn't automatically kind of high up like a regular full-size truck. And under the hood is the 2-liter 4-cylinder putting out 248 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. One thing I did mention earlier, and I think I got the horsepower number wrong saying 240, it is 248, but the fact that this XC40 actually accelerates very well for such a small amount of horsepower. And that's due to two very important factors. Number one, it's all-wheel drive. You're always going to find an all-wheel drive vehicle is going to accelerate faster than a two-wheel drive vehicle, whether that's front or rear-wheel drive. So you're not going to have any trouble merging into traffic or passing slower moving vehicles on the road and just getting around. It's a very zippy vehicle, to say the least. And the engine is backed by an 8-speed automatic transmission. Okay guys, before we start our interior tour, let me tell you how to access the rear cargo area. You have 4 different options, and the first is found just to the left of the steering wheel. There's a button right there on the dashboard. You can push that to open and or close the rear lift gate. You can use the remote to do the same. There's also a button located right above the rear license plate, or my favorite option, which is the motion sensor right here under the bumper. You just swipe your foot across and step back and let that open. And be patient with that. If you do it and it doesn't do it as quickly as you think you should, and you swipe your foot under there again, it's going to reverse the sequence and you're going to think, uh-oh, something's not working or you're doing something wrong. Swipe your foot right to left, kind of slowly, and then just step back and it's going to go ahead and open. And you can close that the same way too. And for closing the tailgate, you have a 5th option. 2 buttons right up here. One to just close the lift gate, or the one on the right allows you to not only close the lift gate, but it locks the interior as well. So let's talk about storage and what kind of cargo space you have back here in the rear. Okay, another couple of noteworthy bits of information about the rear cargo area here. You do have the floor mat right here to help keep this carpet clean. It won't get dirty depending on what you put back here. And if you lift up the floor, you'll find that you have a spare tire and all of the tools and everything necessary to change that tire. And I mentioned the fact that there are some very interesting cargo areas, or little storage areas I should say, throughout the XC40 for smaller items, one of which being here on the right rear of the rear cargo area. And depending on what you store right there, you have a strap right here to keep it from actually falling over into the interior. So you could put whatever you want right there as long as it fits and isn't too tall to fit right there. But I like the fact that you have this strap here to kind of keep it in place while you're driving down the road. So let's talk a little bit about cargo and towing capabilities. Your space back here ranges between 20.7 cubic feet all the way up to 47.2 cubic feet when you lower the rear seats. And depending on what you have, you can expect a payload capability of as little as 1,090 pounds up to 1,185 pounds. And depending on how your XC40 is equipped, it can tow a maximum of 3,500 pounds. Okay guys, we're here in the rear seat of the XC40, and the first thing you're going to notice, at least on this particular model, is the panoramic moonroof. It's nice, it's large, easy to see out of. Your rear seat passengers are going to really enjoy that. And if you need to, there is an automatic shade that you can bring forward to keep so much heat from coming in, especially during the summer, to keep the cabin nice and comfortable and cool. You do have dual air conditioning vents here on the rear of the console and a USB port as well. And continuing our talk about storage space, the small little areas here, of course you do have the cargo nets here on the back of the seats, and the doors have the storage bins on them as well on the driver and passenger sides of the rear. But one thing I'd like to bring to your attention is what's on the seats themselves, and I'm showing you that on your screen right now. They're small, like I said, small little storage areas, something where kids could put their toys, you know, a little toy car or something like that, or maybe a deck of playing cards if they want to do that while they're back here. I don't know, just whatever. A lot of interesting little opportunities there. Be it as small as it is, that could be very useful. Okay guys, here we are in the front seat, and I like the layout here. I like the premium materials that I mentioned earlier that the interior is made out of. Everything looks very nice. This particular model even has aluminum pedals just to give it that more sporty look. Everything is easy to get to. You do have driver and passenger seats in this particular trim level that are both power and fully adjustable. Seat memory for the driver with a couple of settings for that too. So if you have two different drivers, then they can hit the one or the two on there and get everything set back where they're used to having it. Steering wheel mounted controls. You've got paddles on here as well, so you can use those if you want to. I like the ultra modern digital instrument cluster here. It looks nice, it's super easy to read. And you know, some vehicles, the numbers aren't as big, and so they're not as easy to read necessarily, but I like the fact that they are on here and just the overall displays. You have in this particular model, I know this probably isn't standard across trim levels, but you do have wireless charging, and I'm showing you that on your screen right now. Your phone just fits in there perfectly, and if something you've never used before, one thing that's nice about that is that it's made of material that keeps the phone from sliding around when you're driving on the road. So your phone's going to stay in place on that charger. Of course, the infotainment screen here, and a lot of people talk about how challenging that is to use, that it's a little bit challenging here in the XC40 to figure out. It's not really that hard, but I am going to do a separate video specifically on that by itself, just so you can and know how to use it. Of course, you've got the shifter right here. I like the small shifter. For whatever reason, you know, it's got the contrast stitching on it as you do throughout the interior here in the front. That really sets this off and makes it look very nice and luxurious. You've got an electronic parking brake here, a couple of cup holders, more interesting storage right here in front of the console. And showing you that on your screen right now, of course, you've got storage here in the console itself, and even a little area that has kind of a little almost, of course, you can control the air conditioning here on the infotainment screen. You can control the radio and the volume here. Just below that, and other things, other features you can control there, defroster and all that kind of stuff, as you can see. And that will bring to a close my time with the 2020 Volvo XC40. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. Tell me down in the comments what you think about the XC40. And I'd like to thank my friends at Holmes Volvo here in Shreveport, Louisiana, for loaning me this XC40 for the day. If you haven't subscribed to Vehicle Visionary just yet, make sure to lightly tap that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button as well. Give me a like. That helps get this video in front of more people. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and I will see you next time on Vehicle Visionary.